Hi, I'm Jerry Levinson, and this is the Flooring Business Podcast, where each week we're going to talk to expert flooring dealers, suppliers, marketing experts, software experts, and anyone I believe is going to help you in your flooring business. Now, my mission is to give you good information that's going to help you reach your goals. If you're just starting your business or trying to reach 5 million in sales, or you're ready to sell your business, you're going to find useful information that's going to help you reach your goals and profit now in the flooring industry. Now, remember, each Thursday I offer sales training that's good for your entire team. It's only $150 per month, and it's going to more than pay for itself over and over again as I show you ways to close more sales at higher prices. And you guys will be a consistent team in your showroom. So in this week's episode, my guest is Miranda Federico, or now...
Oh, the new name, Leon.
Leon, I still can, yeah. Leon. So Miranda, many congratulations are in order. She just got married.
Yes.
So, and you were a virgin when you got married?
Yes. Totally. I'm Catholic, 100%.
So, okay. And she actually got in the Guinness Book of World Record for the longest anybody has worn a wedding dress in Tucson, Arizona.
It was 21 hours.
21 hours. That was amazing. She looked uncomfortable after 2 hours to me. It's so true. Thank God men don't have to wear a wedding dress. So there wouldn't be marriage if men had to go through that.
That is, yeah.
So be like there'd be no children if men had to go through pregnancy, right?
So true.
And you just became the operations manager.
Yes.
So Miranda has been sales manager here at Carpets of Arizona for how long now?
Going on 2 years.
Couple years, yeah. And the reason she got that job was because she was following the processes and the systems. There are actually people here older than her, and I think you're one of the youngest people here.
Yep.
And people who have more experience too. But Miranda was very, very successful in selling, and it was when you bought into the process.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because her sales were very mediocre, and then just dug in your heels and went ahead and did everything the way you were told. You're just like, what made you decide that to just say, okay, you know what, I'm going to do things?
I think after a little bit of time with the company and then buying into the culture, buying into the whole experience that we have for our employees and our customers. And once I made that decision of, okay, no, this is something that I want to be a part of long-term, and it's not just a job, it's a career, it's my life, it's my passion. And then buying into that process was a lot easier. And once you buy into the process, then everything just falls into place.
So it's a good lesson for people that don't have a process. Write it out. There's a whiteboard right there. We wrote out processes constantly. Do they ever change?
Quite a bit.
Every day. But following that process helps, having a plan helps. Now talk about you're going to start, you got the job as operations manager now.
Yes.
And so she's got more work for less pay. And sales manager, are you still going to be the sales manager as well?
Yes, I'm still keeping my role as a sales manager and the operations manager, kind of adding to that. It is going to be a little bit more work, but it's all coming down to the process. It's not going to be a huge daunting task because we have a really competent operations team, a really competent sales team, because everyone is buying into the process and following the process. So it's just a matter of making sure that everything is going in the same direction.
Yeah, everybody knows what to do and how to do their job correctly because of the systems and the processes. And then when you have a problem, what do? You go back to your process and systems and tweak it and look at how you're doing things. As a sales manager, were you ever selling as you were also being the sales manager?
Initially I was doing a little bit of both, but as the team grew, as we had more of an influx of leads, more revenue coming in, more leads to manage, helping my salespeople close, I stepped away from that. So I don't do any sales. It's purely supporting the sales team and making sure that we're capitalizing on every single lead and making sure that things don't fall through the cracks.
So, and that's not easy to do for a company and for you as an individual, because you're selling over 100,000 a month, you're making really good money, and you actually take a little step back money wise initially as you're building up that whole team, right?
Yeah, somewhat there. But the main thing is it actually worked out a little bit better for the company because when I took the role as sales manager, my closing rate was pretty. It was good. I was really happy with it. But that allowed me to spend more time. Not selling has allowed me to spend more time with the team to teach, coach, train, and mentor them. And from when I started to a year after, our closing rate increased by about 8% as a company. So kind of having the time to teach and mentor and jump into leads with the salesperson, give them different closing techniques, that definitely has shown. So not selling has given us a good return on investment of my time.
So, and typically, if you have 3 or 4 salespeople, I think you'll find that you're a manager that also continues to sell.
Exactly.
So was it, what did you have it was about 4 or 5 where you were full-time manager and you just didn't sell at all?
Yeah. It got to that point. But yeah, currently we have 7 salespeople. And it's always constantly busy and constantly making sure that I'm jumping into their pipeline and looking at every possible opportunity to close that lead and to teach, coach, train, and mentor them.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you're teaching them, how you get them to close more? What is your follow-up in looking after that? Has that made a difference to their closing rate, the company's closing rate?
Yeah, it has. So the first couple months, this was kind of a little bit of a new position in terms of what the expectations were and what that role was. So my role has kind of been built out over time, but it took a few months to really refine what my process looks like to capitalize on every single lead. So I'm very, very task oriented. We have a system where we use a lot of automations. So for instance, like if a lead is created 24 hours ago, I'll get an automation for that to jump into the lead to see what's going on. Okay, what's in a status of being in a lead? Why haven't we gone on an estimate yet? Have we scheduled an estimate? What's going on here? So a lot of those factors are time-based where I do jump in and look at the customer and with the salesperson as well. But all time-based based upon when it was created, based upon when we went on the estimate. If it's a few days that we went on the estimate and we haven't closed it, that prompts me to jump in and see, hey, why haven't we closed this? What can we do to get this sale?
Yeah, I remember having a meeting and Miranda offered to all the salespeople, look, if you're having trouble closing a job, let me go over your jobs and let's see if we can't close them together. Make give an additional discount or try to influence that customer to go ahead and, Miranda says, I'll call them as a sales manager. And it's really good from the customer standpoint to get a call from the sales manager to see if there's anything we can do. But I'll remember out of a team of, I don't know, 4 or 5, I think we had 5 at the time. There was only one salesperson that took her up on that. And that salesperson was not doing so good. She was struggling mightily. And she was the only one that took you up on that offer. And that was the largest month of sales for anybody at that time.
Yep, she broke a company record by
Crushed
far.
it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she killed it. It was really cool to see.
Yeah. So, just buy into the system and really, how hard is that to say, okay, here, take these leads and let's call them together, or go ahead and call them and let's see if we can close those deals.
Exactly.
And why wouldn't the others do that? It was bizarre.
It was that first month, and then everyone saw her success and they were like, oh, hey Miranda, can you call this customer? And they all kind of jumped in with that. So yeah. It was kind of funny, but I was proud of her for taking that chance.
So now here's a question. Do your salespeople schedule the installers?
No, with us, we want to have our salespeople focus on their customers, focus on their pipeline. being totally available to that. So we do have a separate operations team. So basically, once the salesperson sells the job, it'll go into the hands of operations. And we have a dedicated person who looks at the job, looks at the scope, makes that contact with the customer. Hey, Mr. Mrs. So-and-so, thanks for trusting us with your project. I can have installer so-and-so out on this day. It'll take X amount of days to complete it. So it's a total separate entity.
You ever get jammed up because the customer feels like they're being raced around and they feel like that salesperson should be like there from start to end, or
Yeah, we haven't really encountered that or have gotten that kind of feedback from our customers. I mean, we have a ton of 5-star reviews just constantly coming in. But it's not like the salesperson just passes it off to operations and is totally out. We make it very clear with our customers from the start, hey, this is my number, this is my direct line. Anything you need in the process, let me know, give me a call. So a lot of times, even if it is something operational, like to reschedule or an operational question, they'll still reach out to that salesperson who they worked with before, and then they'll make that initial contact and transfer it over. And then at the end of the install too, our salespeople always check in with the customer just to make sure that everything went perfect. They love their new flooring and they ask for that 5-star review as well.
And do they have to collect the balance, or is the installer getting it? Who gets the balance?
No. So it's actually a really cool process that we worked out that's working really well for us. And it's actually brought in an influx of 5-star reviews from our customers. So at the end of the install, it still is in the realm of operations. So as soon as the installer tells us that the job is done, we have the same person, Jen, who schedules the install. She'll reach out to the customer and say, hey, installer so-and-so completed the job. I just want to check in, make sure that everything's looking good. You love your new flooring, and all of that. And that's a really good opportunity, because if there is anything residual, or if we do need to go back there for something, Jen can just easily schedule that on that same call and just say, oh, you know what? Oh, you're not happy with that piece of trim, or this looks a little bit off. Not a problem. We can come in. We can come by tomorrow and retuck that carpet, and she'll automatically schedule that. So there's not a lot of back and forth with that. If everything goes good and it's time to close out that file, she'll run the final balance with the customer. And then after that, we have an automation to our salesperson right after that, just to let them know, hey, everything's done, check in with your customer. And that's what prompts them to do that final follow-up and that final ask for review.
Oh, okay. Well, if there is a problem, do the salespeople follow up too, or?
Oh yeah. Yep. If there is a problem, they still get that task to follow up with the customer after it is resolved. So they're still very involved, but in terms of logistics, that stays with operations.
Okay. And then at one point we were doing the installation incentive program where the salesperson was asking to rate the installers. Are you still doing that?
Yep, we're still doing that. Typically when operations makes that final wrap-up call, right when the install is complete, we'll ask for that installation.
I mean, is Jen doing that, or in operations?
Yep, Jen with operations.
So, and this was a huge selling point too, because when we're selling the job, oftentimes you get a question is, are they in-house installers or are they subcontractors? So the answer to that question is usually, well, yeah, they're subcontractors, but we have the installer incentive program where we ask you to rate the installers. And since we've implemented that, we've gotten a lot more 5-star reviews from customers, because the installers know that they're being rated. So it's really improved their performance, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
How has it improved their performance? Are they doing a better job installing, or what does that mean to improve the installer's performance?
So their quality has always been very, very good. We're very picky about who we have as installers, but it's another nudge for them to make that personal connection with the customer. So a lot of times we'll see that they'll really connect with the customer, and it's really cool because even online with their online reviews, a ton of them mention the installer by name, and that's something that we didn't really encounter before. But to see that and to have them get that recognition is really cool.
Yeah, and it's amazing that people think having a good installer means somebody that does the good job installing, and it's not. Having a good installer is somebody that calls. I mean, doing a good job on the install is not an option. Everybody has to do a good job on the install, but calling and letting them know you're running late, or communicating really well with the customer, communicating with the store to let them know that there's a problem along with the customer. These are the things that make the installer more professional person. And it just reflects really well on the company.
Oh, yeah.
So, and the installers, I mean, they get bonuses, but I've always argued it's not the bonus. That's not why they're doing it. They get scored.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. Based upon that feedback, if someone does give a 4, or if they don't get like a perfect score of 5, they take that to heart, and they have a lot of pride in what they do, and we love that.
So this is a common question that a lot of people want to know, and a lot of people have a desire for salespeople to generate their own leads.
Mhm.
Is that realistic? Are your salespeople generating their own leads? If so, how?
Yeah, so we certainly have an expectation for our sales team to generate some of their own leads. With that, we have them all in networking groups, and leveraging those referral partners that have the ability to give us recurring referrals. And it allows us to establish ourselves further in the community by giving those referrals as well.
And the networking, I always thought the networking groups were important because I just wanted the salespeople to be a part of the process of growing the business. And if they're out there talking about the business, giving commercials about it constantly, to a group that's paying attention, that it's good for them to do that as part of a sales, just developing their person. Well, you did that for years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did that for
How big was your B&I group?
There was like 75 people at its peak, and it always ranged between like 70 and 75. So to have a whole room's attention for about a minute just to give your commercial about your company, that's huge. And to have every salesperson in a group, and we try to go after those larger groups just to have more exposure. It's done really great things for the business.
Okay. So you have a much larger sales team than most companies this size, and you're covering 2 stores, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is it more expensive? I want you to speak a little bit about this. Is it more expensive to hire more salespeople? Or since you're paying straight commission, is it kind of a wash, or it doesn't really cost you any more money to have more salespeople?
So it really doesn't cost us any more money to have more salespeople, because they are commission based. But with that, we're very, very picky about when, how, and why we want more salespeople. We want to take care of the current staff that we have. And if we see that, they're getting a little bogged down, if they're swamped with leads, if it's a consistent trend, or if they start to feel like, if we identify a little bit of burnout, then yeah, that's the time when we want to get more help, more salespeople for them. But if leads are pretty consistent, I don't want to overload us with salespeople and kind of dip into the current leads that our crew currently
How many do you have now?
Salespeople?
Yeah.
7.
7. So, and it's been a really good thing. And of course, the salespeople hate it when you are hiring more and more,
Yeah,
because
that too.
they think their leads are going to get watered down. And the reality is some of them are taking way too many leads a week. And then you get into a problem where if 1 or 2 are sick, or people are taking vacation, then trying to get the showroom coverage and still going out. So I think it's just been a great thing to have the additional salespeople.
Yeah, we've added 2 new salespeople since December, and it's been really nice to have them. They've caught on really quick. But I think as a manager, it's really on us to determine, every salesperson has that sweet spot of what they're going to perform best with. Not every salesperson can handle 10 to 12 leads a week. Some people thrive off of it, some people don't. But we're being really open and candid with the team and say, hey, you know what? You do really well with no more than 8 leads a week. Let's keep it to 8. And really defining those clear expectations with each person to make sure that they're set up for the most success as possible. So.
Well, that's the neat thing about being a sales manager, is you can look at some of what some might consider as the minutia, but you can take a serious look at things like how many leads can they really handle, take care of the customer well, have a good closing rate, and you can look at products that they sell, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like you have some people that may do better job selling carpet,
Mhm.
and some people do a better job selling luxury vinyl.
Exactly. So we
Yeah.
can really, a lot of it is data driven, jumping in and seeing what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, but really honing in to work on those weaknesses, but also capitalizing off of those strengths.
Yeah. So, in your top salespeople, have they received less business or got less sales since adding on the additional salespeople?
No, if anything, their closing rate has gone up, so they have had an increase in their income by having more time dedicated to working on their current lead flow. But ultimately, leads haven't been affected much by the addition of new people, especially with everyone in networking groups. A lot of their leads ideally would be self-generated. So our top salesperson, Josh, he gets several self-generated leads a week. And it's to the point where it's like, hey, you're getting a couple weeks ago, he had 10 self-generated leads and no company generated leads because he was out on appointments nonstop from the networking group. So it just goes to show that those networking groups are definitely worth their weight in gold with lead gen.
Yeah, I mean, he's a popular guy, and
Oh,
he's
yeah.
just constantly on Facebook and network, and he doesn't look like the type that would do
No,
that.
not at all.
Well, and this brings me to another point. Let's talk about, how do you hire a salesperson? Talk a little bit about what you're looking for when you go to hire. Are you looking for somebody with experience, a lot of flooring knowledge, or somebody with no flooring knowledge and that might be good at sales?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, because the thing that we've always done at Carpets of Arizona is hire on personality. If someone comes in with this long drawn out resume, tons of flooring experience, okay, cool, that's great, you know a lot, awesome. But I care more about your personality and your ability to connect with others. And a lot of that is done in that initial phone interview. That, and also looking for follow-up skills. So if they don't follow up after that phone interview, then you're probably not going to be invited for an in-person interview. If they don't try to make an emotional connection, or even just a interview, non-transactional connection, if they try to kind of get to know us, get to know the interviewers, ask questions about us, about the position, just kind of dig a little bit deeper to make that personal connection. Those are the key things that we're looking at in those interviews, and also that follow-up at the end of the interview.
So I want to mention this. Josh was actually referred to us. He came to us, saw the reputation, and Miranda and Shane interviewed Josh, and he did a horrible job on the interview. They were not going to hire the guy, but he called. How many times did he call you and beg to come back? He says, I know I did a bad job, right?
Yeah, he called right after the interview, asked for a shot. He also sent us a message on Facebook. Every method of contact, he definitely went that avenue, and I admired that, because if you have the guts to contact us after that, if you have the guts to ask for a shot, if you have the guts to ask for the position, that tells me that you're going to ask the customer for the sale, and that's absolutely what we want.
Yeah, that follow-up is key. And so I said, let me interview him this time with you. And the interview was much better, but we hired him on the spot, which we normally don't do.
Mhm.
But yeah, we went ahead and hired him on the spot, because that just speaks volumes. It's like, yeah, if they're going to go after the job, they're going to go after customers like this too. They're going to ask for the job. On pay, you're pretty much straight commission. Can you describe that a little bit? And do you pay what's it called, a draw or straight commission? How does that work?
So it's a draw against commission. So our salespeople, they get a really fair percentage of each job. So they do get that. And hypothetically, if they're out on a long vacation, if they get sick, just anything that they're not selling, they do get a small draw from the company, just to make sure that they're still getting something.
Yeah, we've made sure it was a bare minimum of $15 an hour. I have a good video on YouTube that references that structure, and it's worked really good. So what if they don't? When's the last time somebody didn't hit their minimum?
Honestly, it's only been like the new guys, like their first month in.
Yeah,
I can't even remember.
I do think when you hire somebody new, and figure you're going to invest maybe 2 months to 90 days to get them up and running. So usually if they can hit the ground running, that's great. But usually I would see them closing and all that. Give them about 2 months at the minimum, and have enough money to go ahead and do that. It's a good investment. So we talked about hiring a salesperson. See, I don't even need to read my notes. I just go right through.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anything else you want to add? Advice you would give to people as being a sales manager? What do you do for a leadership standpoint, as far as any books or anything you listen to, any classes that you've taken?
Yeah, so something on that. The owner, Shane, and myself, we're constantly, and we preach it to our team too. It's all about self-improvement, getting just 1% better every day. So we're always reading a book to kind of help us in our role, and in life too. So the last book that we read was a classic, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And that was really kind of cool to actually put into play with the team. And that just kind of helps a lot with kind of honing our skills, honing those personal relationships. But another thing on that note too, in terms of advice with the team, we're thriving off of communication. We're thriving off of having that personal connection with each other, and always being in contact and knowing what each other's goals are, what's going on with each other, and kind of having that two-way dialogue every single day. So I highly recommend that. A lot of people think that like a manager and the salesperson, that relationship can sometimes be very like directive. Oh, you need to follow up, you need to do this, and it can kind of clash, but not at all. The biggest thing is to have that communication and know what each other's why is. What draws you in every day? What are you trying to accomplish outside of work? And making sure that their goals are in alignment with that, and constantly being in communication about that. I can't stress the communication enough.
So one, it's clear what the company goals are.
Mhm.
How much are they married to that, as far as, how much are they trying to help the company reach its goals? What's that mean to them, to see, because you've broken records left and right over the last year.
Oh yeah.
So especially after you got rid of me, I mean, things just took off. So
It's funny how that happens.
Yeah, right. So, but they have been doing phenomenal. And what's that mean to them to break those goals? Is their attitude, well, I don't give a damn because the company's making money, or do they celebrate it?
No, they celebrate it. They are very, very invested. And it's really cool to see that. And the way that we've built that is by making sure that the culture of our company is always where it needs to be, and always making improvements to that. If we have happy employees, we're going to do anything and everything for the company to grow it and keep on growing.
I'm working with David Requa on Facebook advertising, and there's an ad that you guys did, that it's all the salespeople, good-looking guys too, young guys, good-looking guys, and they're just thanking for all the reviews. They're not soliciting a product, and just the commercial is fantastic.
Oh yeah,
I cannot wait. Just visually, you don't even have to have the sound on, but it's so good that I can't wait to run this ad. I think it's going to do phenomenal, and it's not really offering a discount or anything like that.
Nothing, not even selling, just thanking the community for
not saying we're going to take care of you. It's a good, I love soliciting when you're not soliciting.
Exactly.
Giving a message and getting that attention. So I think it's going to be really good. So, all right. Anything else you want to add? Anything you left out? Put you on the spot there. That makes it hot.
Yeah, no, I think it's all good. We covered a lot.
Yes. So if you do want to get a hold of Miranda, flooring store owners, you can ask her a question on there. You can reach out to her. Is your name still Federico on Facebook?
No. Well, yes and no. I have Federico and the new last name too. So
she's multiple personality now.
Exactly. It depends if I'm mad at my husband or not.
Right. Yeah. What's she going by this week?
Yeah.
Okay. When it was just a boyfriend, you didn't have to change back and forth like that now. All right. So, okay, we're going to wrap this up. Thanks a lot, Miranda.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. So thank you guys for joining the Flooring Business Podcast. And remember, if you're already in sales training or if you want to join, just send me a message and we'll get you signed up. And if you really want to grow your business fast, I have the Flooring Business Accelerator program. And then that's a 6-month program where I work directly with you to grow your business and profits fast. Like I said, I'm also working with David Rico now on offering Facebook advertising. So that's something that you can take a look at and see if that's right for you and your business. But you can contact me at Jerry@profitnowatjerry.com for more information. And you guys have a great, profitable week.